Learn 3 tools for mental health. Welcome to the New Spirit Radio Show by the Society of Novus Spiritus, founded by world-renowned spiritual teacher Sylvia Browne. Today's date, oh my gosh, I'm behind. It should be January 29 of 2025. Holy cow. My notes are coming to you live from California. Both NorCal and SoCal are your hosts, Reverend Tom Bigley and Reverend Catherine Taylor, playing audio segments we call Messages from Spirit. Why? Helping you answer the fundamental question, what are we here for?
These segments are recorded trance sessions from Francine, Sylvia's spirit guide. So for new people, Sylvia was a full trance medium, which means Sylvia contracted to let her and Francine's essences exchange places in Sylvia's body. And we think of our bodies being similar to a car. One driver gets out and another driver gets in. And this allowed Francine to share spiritual knowledge with us directly from the other side.
On occasion, another master teacher and healer, a guide named Rahim, would exchange with Sylvia and present us with spiritual information as well. Francine and Rahim shared directly from sources like the Akashic Records, Mother and Father God, our spirit guides, Christ, and many others.
And meanwhile, during trance, Sylvia would sit on a nice bench in a rose garden on the other side.
And here are our hosts, Reverend Catherine Taylor and Reverend Tom Bigley.
Hello, and wonderful to see you.
Yes, wonderful to see you, and welcome to everybody that's joined us, regardless of when you're watching this.
Absolutely.
Let's see. For new people, I really like to share, what our agenda's about, because some people might see how long this is and go, well, hey, hang out, be patient. There's a lot of variety of things that, could be pertinent to you. Quick agenda is announcements. We start with some announcements. Then we move into one of our favorite segments we call How Did You Use Novus Spiritus Philosophy? If you're familiar with it, now's a good time to be posting in the comments how you used it, because we're all curious. Then we move forward to special prayers and a moment of silence. Then we get into the trance segments that we are here for. That's followed by a meditation and some closing notes. Then there's a little bit later, we'll have a special prayer ceremony we call a novena. I'll talk about that when we get there. That's followed by appreciation, and we conclude with a prayer by Sylvia.
Fantastic.
So up next, if I don't know if you can see this, looks like a rosebud for a but we'll see if it lights. And wherever you are, if it's appropriate in the location you're at, by all means, light a candle. And or those electronic little flickery things are pretty cool too. You were gonna sound like you were gonna say something, but okay. I'm gonna go to announcements next.
Go for it.
Welcome to all the new subscribers and followers. Some brief announcements. Hey, would you like to promote this content? Well, on Facebook, share, like, and follow. On YouTube, then go to YouTube. Go to Facebook, then to YouTube. Great. Well, on YouTube, if you would subscribe, do a thumbs up, and click the bell so that you get notified when new stuff shows up. If you'd like to donate and help promote what we're doing here and keep this moving forward, yes, you can go to our website at novus.org and use credit card, Venmo, and PayPal or PayPal. And soon we should be able to use Zelle. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I pronounce it Zelly, but anyway. Events. Yes, we have some events coming along. We have a class coming up in March by one of our ministers. Cass is hosting a class on self-esteem. So get on the email newsletter, check that out so that you get notified when that's available. There is a registration form that's on there as well. So get started or find out what it's about. Second item, New Spirit Radio next week, February 5th. We're not going to have a show. It's going to be canceled due to overwhelmingness. How's that? There's too much going on around that time. So we want to make sure that we've got content ready for you. Also, don't miss out on Chris' question specials with email notifications. If you go to his website, chrisrightnow.com, put your email in, you will get notified when the specials come out. And my fun promotion is a reading with Chris Dufresne can be that new growth for your future. And I like to ask, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree?
Today.
So plant your seeds from a reading today for your future growth.
Fantastic.
Facebook users, be seen in chat by clicking on and accepting the permissions. If you go into the description, there's a link there that says talkstudio.streamlabs /Facebook. Click on that and accept the permissions so that we can tell who you are. What did we do? Oh, cool. We did that. Now's our fun segment we call How Did You Use Novus Spiritus Philosophy? And I did my homework.
Oh, exciting. I'm really looking forward to hearing. And
Cool.
And yes, if anyone listening wants to share whatever they might have used, big, literal, or small, anything in between, it's always a delight to see what everyone in our community has been experiencing over the last week, for sure. This past week, I have been a variety of things, but I'm gonna pick one because I think it's super interesting. So I have a small endometriosis surgery coming up, and something that Francine talked about in the past, not too long ago. She said that nerves. She was talking about that spirit guides can see an inflamed nervous system. She's like, if you could see what we see. And so she said you want to visualize your nerves being capped, like kind of retracting back a little bit, all their little fingers, just like pull the fingers back a little bit and cap them off with silica. And so I've been telling myself that is the plan, and that is what we are going to do with my nervous system. And it has done, I've had a very, very, very different and much more positive and less painful experience with managing this illness as a result of that, of like telling my nervous system that I've noticed a big difference. Because some other things that I've noticed them saying over just different trances is that it's like it's not great for someone to be in chronic pain for a long time. She's like, if you could see what it does to your system, I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. And I had this experience with endometriosis not being diagnosed for 18 years. And so I've just kind of reflected on that and tried to shed the programming that has come along with that, of being like, you're going to have an entire life that's going to be miserable and terrible. And I've really like this whole last decade has been brilliant. I've had life and it's been beautiful. And I've also reflected like, I do think nervous system has felt like hair on fire. I just had a hair on fire experience, and it's like, no, we can calm that down. And so anyway, I've reflected on that over time, over the past over this past decade of really working on getting my body to be in a smoother and calmer state, and specifically with regards to the cap your nerves off with silica, your little nerve fingers. I've really, really noticed a difference internally. And so I really am super, super happy I heard that. So anyway, this particular illness is sometimes not a pain-free experience. Sometimes it is extremely difficult on some people. And I was talking to my surgeon, and I said, what kind of a recovery are you thinking this is going to look like, and whatnot, just to kind of get an idea of the medical side of things. And and she told me, and she said, and additionally, some people are, for some reason, their nerves are just extremely sensitive, and we don't know why. And I was like, So I immediately jumped on that mentally, and I said, that is not going to be us anymore. That is not going to be us anymore. We're going to keep having our little nerve fingers attracted back and capped off by silica. Like, we're not going to do this anymore. This is going to be as smooth of an experience as possible. And you know what? It's okay if the health isn't 100% exactly where I wished it would be. Endometriosis does run in my family. And okay, it's just an experience, and I'm just going to make it as minimal as possible so that got health in the right place and moving on. And I am not in nearly as much pain as I had been in the past. So cool. Much gratitude to Francine and Raheem. So cool. That is what I used. What about you, Tom? I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Let's see. I think this is a well, I guess I'll read it and then see if I can make sense out of it.
Sure.
Thanks.
Sounds good.
Last week I said a little bit too little regarding my doctor saying, "Hey, no vitamins, no supplements." And to be more responsible during my doctor's appointment, my doctor wasn't just short and what's the word, trite or short? Anyway, during my doctor's appointment for minor dizziness, after my doctor asked me if I took vitamin supplements, and I said yes, and she recommended I stop, my doctor did offer an EKG and blood test, which I appreciate, and test results were thankfully normal.
Beautiful.
So I thought that was a thing that I should add, other than just, my doctor said no. Well,
it sounds like she showed up to work and did some investigation. Good.
Yeah, and offered the, I was appreciative to be offered the testing that was done. So that, for me, that was like a helpful elaboration on, keeping up on things.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for the update. I'm glad to hear that things are moving in the right direction. We're going to hear about vitamins, all sorts of vitamins, and at-home health support today. So it's been a while since we've had one of those trances. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Any comments about others' experiences?
Yes, we've got quite a few comments, which is wonderful. Alicia over on Facebook says, I used my gifts to comfort and relay messages to a family to someone whose family member passed away suddenly. Good for you. I'm glad that you were there for them. Ron says, it's beginning to warm up. We're in the 60s today. We'll be in 70s next week. Thank God. Hey, love it. It's so good to see you, Ron, as always. Ramona shares, prayers needed by all my Gnostic friends. My 89-year-old mom is in the hospital. Wow. Very, very happy to pray for her. Absolutely.
Congratulations to her for getting that to that age.
Yes, that is marvelous. Addie says, hey, Kat, remember sharing the Gospel of Thomas? I ran the PDF text through ChatGPT to simplify the riddle text and gave some interesting insights. Just sharing. I'd be very curious to see what AI would have to say about that. I just think it'd be interesting. So I'll be happy to take a look.
Yeah, because it's like, how are you going to know if it's what's the term? There's a term where it goes off on a tangent, like
right. A hallucination.
Thank you. That's the word I was thinking of. Anyway, fun something to review anyway.
Interesting. Yeah. Gibson says, I asked Asna to send something to me and send me a peony flower so I know that she's working on my request. So I walked into the store, and there on the register rack is a book with peony flowers. And now I'm waiting for her to move things around.
Fun.
That is perfect. That's really interesting.
And
That's
why
really
did you go to that store?
That's a good question.
That's the fun thing that people that don't believe in or what everything's a coincidence. It's like, look at, or if you're a super skeptic, look at what caused you to go into that store, and just happened they had the book in place.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Peonies, that's incredibly specific. Like,
Yeah, so fun.
yeah, that's really cool. She also says, Kat or Tom, if you get a chance, tell Chris his beard and mustache trim is rocking.
All right.
Nice.
I don't think I'll try that.
That's great. I love it. All right. So Addie shares an example of the AI output. She says, example for Gospel of Thomas number 8. So input is, the wise fisherman finds the large fish and then throws the small ones back. And the AI came back with, focus on what truly matters and let go of distractions to keep what's valuable. I would say that's close, but my interpretation of that would have been, the wise fisherman finds the large fish and throws the small ones back. It's like, if you are actually ready to, it's like, don't waste your time with small things. Yes. But if something is genuinely ready to move forward, then focus on that. So it's like, it's close, but it's like, if something is genuinely ready to move forward and has finished cooking, it's finished growing, it's finished its maturation process, then that's what to engage with. Because not every solution has matured to a point where you're ready to execute it. So it's Jesus's sayings are so layered in the Gospel of Thomas. So you can get like 5 different layers out of it. So the first layer, I would agree, like that focus on what truly matters and let go of distractions to keep what's valuable. Like, yeah, that is one takeaway. But underneath there, it's like, that was my take.
Find the thing that's got most
has matured
to it.
Yeah. That's ready to enact on. Because sometimes you're not. You've got something cooking, but it's like, oh, it's just not the right window of opportunity yet.
Yeah. That kind of goes along with the analogy of the I think it was really popular in the late 80s. It was you get the glass cylinder and you say, you put the big stones in and you go, is there more room in here? And then everybody says, no, there's no more room. It's full of stones. Well, then you get pebbles and you put the pebbles in, fill up all the crevices inside. And now, is there any more room? And everybody says, no, it's full. Well, then you put sand in there and fill up all the crevices between the stones. Now, is there any more room? Everybody says no. Well, then you pour water in it. That fills it up. And what's the point of that? Well, the point is you got to put the big things in first that are most important. Otherwise, they'll never get in there.
That's good. That's good. I love that.
It was about in time, I think it was, or your energy as well. So fun analogies.
Yeah, it's very fun. I love it. Thank you so much, Addie. I love talking about Gospel Thomas. That's great. Old School says, I'd like to ask for prayers as well. Her cancer numbers took kind of a big jump, and she asked Chris about it, and he says, I'm not going anywhere soon, and then I need to get my stress under control ASAP. Now, this is good because tonight we're going to hear some thoughts that Francine has for cancer support. Again, we are not doctors, but it's something if you wanted to ask a professional about this. It does get mentioned tonight, some suggestions for supporting that. So I probably need to get my stress levels under control too a little bit. Oh goodness. Oh, Addie says the AI had several interpretations and yours was listed also, and it depends what you ask the machine. Yeah,
Yep.
super interesting. That's really interesting. The one that I think would be the toughest, and we've talked about this in the past, was that one about the lions, and if you I'm sure you can find which one it is because it's super confusing, and all sorts of biblical scholars have tried different takes on it, and I talked about it in the past. It took me like a week or two of sitting with it to be like, what the heck does this mean? Oh, and then Tom and I, we were brainstorming. We think it's about a person's relationship to their own anger taking over them, their base self taking over. Interesting. And then Old School says, thank you for the prayers. I was in a long COVID flare when I did the blood work, so fingers crossed that it was just that was somehow affected the numbers. Yeah, well, glad that you spoke with Chris, and I'm glad that you're going to take your stress levels seriously, and that we're going to be talking about all sorts of health things today. But we'll definitely keep you in our prayers, like 100%. Thank you, everyone, for all of your comments, and we look forward to reading them as we continue tonight.
And continuing, we do that. Now it's time for special prayers. So let's take a moment. We want to put out that energy, and we encourage you to visualize. And this is where Francine, well, I don't want to say backs me up because I got it from her, but she's reiterating visualizing. So I encourage everyone to visualize what is the outcome you're looking for and who it's for. Whether it's you or a loved one or something you heard in the news, put that energy out. So we're going to ask Mother God, the archangels, archetypes, and even our spirit guides to get out there and put that energy out, even do some influencing around us to help those that are in need. So let's take a moment of silence. Amen.
Amen.
And be the prayer. If you see a need, fill it.
Amen.
Again, these prayers, anything that's posted on the comments, they are public. If you want to post a private prayer request, you can always go to our website at novus.org and look for the prayer chain. What are we doing here? Oh, we have a chat. No, we have a conference call number. For anyone that is streaming challenged and you'd like to listen to the audio version of this while we are live, we have a conference call number you're welcome to call in on with a phone. That number is 888-534-2696. And of course, appreciate that you stay muted so that everybody that's listening has a wonderful session. Now we get to, trans segments. Just as a fun recall, most people, well, I'm trying to remember. What's your name again? Your name is Catherine. Thank you. Catherine and I, when we're sharing our ideas on here, we're recalling things. We have not researched. We're listening like you to this information. Most of it is the basis of our journey to the soul books. But when we're sharing on here, we're recalling things. So if we find out, hey, something you heard from us, by all means, let us know. We'll research it and clarify to the best of our ability with our information. So
Absolutely.
Cool. Now it's time for trend segments.
Okay, so we're going to dive right into all sorts of health discussions. Where we're picking up
Sorry.
with Francine.
Go
It's
ahead. Go ahead.
okay.
I'm freaking out over here because I see something wrong on the screen. But go ahead
No?
and.
All right. So so we're picking up with Francine from last week, talking about health recommendations in 1996, March of 1996. She's going to start talking about CoQ10, valerian root, echinacea. Then never rule out going to the doctor. Ginko as an energy booster. Cat's claw, the herb and cancer. The internal gatekeeper, spiritual gatekeeper of health. Potassium, ginseng, and vitamin C for energy. And then relationship between kelp and blood pressure.
Cool. All right. Here we go. Take notes.
I'm very enthused about the CoQ10 or CoQ30, whichever way you can get it, because it opens up the vascular system of the individual. There's certain things that have always been around. I like valerian root for people before they go to bed at night because it helps them relax. I like echinacea because it keeps people from terrible illnesses. Sylvia's even recommended it for her clients that had AIDS, and it's actually, along with amino acids, brought up their T cell count. Now, no way am I using this, to go back to what this dear lady asked me, am I using this as a trend that you should rule out Western medicine and just go with that. No. Because as I've told Sylvia, and Sylvia's more Western medicine than I am, is that God also made doctors. So I think sometimes in holistic healing centers, they have a tendency to make that their primary goal, is to rule out doctors, and that's not right either. Because if you have strep throat, you better get some penicillin for it and not be trying to treat it with echinacea, unless you wanted to go into a rheumatic heart. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't. Yes, that's an energy booster. I like that a lot. No, Ginko is very good. It's there is one though that's out that is a derivative of dexedrine that is in the Chinese herbs that I'm very concerned about. I don't have it available to my memory now of what it was, but it was. Say it again. That's very good for cancer. Did you know that? Yes, cat's claw is very, very efficient, as well as shark's fin. It's not shark's fin and cat's claw. Sylvia has a doctor friend that she's known for 40 years that's on cat's claw. He has colon cancer. She's been treating him with her cell memory thing that she designed herself with my help, but she did most of it. And he is having almost total remission now. His blood count from 90% full of cancer cells is now down to 9. Shows you how marvelous as Sylvia says, the axis mundi will work. Now, what you've got to do is start saying to yourself, you remember how we talked about the council that you can construct inside of yourself, but now I want you to go even farther because you're more advanced. I want you to ask for the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is, I guess you would call it like a tulpa, or a creation that you make that is a person inside of yourself. Ladies, please do not get concerned when I say he can only be male. You don't want to make a female gatekeeper. The only reason for that being, I'm certainly not a sexist since I'm a female, but because the male stands for the intellect side, and that's what you want to rule in the axis mundi. In other words, you want him to go out and slay the dragon of illness. Now, let's say, for instance, you're not sick, but you go to bed tonight and you're lying there in a quiet repose, and you say, I would like my gatekeeper And it's a reality. It's not something esoterically I'm making up. There is a guide inside of yourself as well as outside. And this guide was literally to be inside of you to take care of you. This gatekeeper can go with, you can say his golden or his silver sword, and he can go and cut out and fix and put drops in the inner ear or soothe a sick stomach or fix a disc. But get him to do it, and you call him the gatekeeper. The reason why he's so powerful is because he's considered as almost a recreation of the Holy Spirit, which the Holy Spirit is nothing more than the Mother God's love for the Father God and the Father's love for the Mother. And that formed another personality. That was the one that comes with you through your whole life. And I've always called him, and so do all of us, including the Council and the Brotherhood, call him the gatekeeper. He's the one that goes through the body. Now, why is it important to call on him? Well, calling on him makes him more powerful. Knowing that he could exist makes him more powerful. Directing him to go. See, you have inside of you a lot of gatekeepers that are asleep. You also can get them to do all sorts of marvelous things, such as make you more lucid with your mind, your memory better, your verbalization better, your fear to go away, your courage to come stronger, your white cells to be elevated so that you fight illness. You might even ask for a temperature to come up to burn out some illness that you have, and then don't be scared if your temperature comes up. But refer to him as the gatekeeper. Call him. You can call him by name if you wish, any name you wish to call him. Your guides have specific names, but the gatekeeper is always with you. This dear friend of Sylvia has also a council that he's constructed. There's a difference between you constructing a council of people and who came with you, because everyone has the gatekeeper. You can construct a council of 250 people if you want. That the council resonates to the council on my side that sits in a state of awareness and constantly giving reciprocity to us to give to you. There was a question. Yes. I would take ginseng. I would take ginseng. I would take, Sylvia calls 1 potassium, 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C, and 1 zinc in the morning with breakfast. A potent energy cocktail. That combination is absolutely dynamite. Take it with food. You should always take with herbs. I don't care whether it says on an empty stomach, don't do it. No food, no drugs should be taken on an empty stomach. It doesn't do any good. The juices of the stomach, be logical, have to be working for things to disseminate right. And you should watch out for your back. Yes. Oh, yes, of course it's real. You've got to take a high protein diet. You must. High protein stabilizes, and I'd take at least 6 complex amino acid tablets a day, plus putting yourself on a rigid diet of fish and chicken and turkey. In 3 days, Sylvia's dealt with so many. Strangely enough, it's been so prevalent through the movie industry. Movie stars have been so plagued with it. And she's dealt with so many, and gets them right up on their feet in 3 days. I can't believe it. They've had drips and drops and, and everything else, and nothing works as well as a protein does. Yes. You're talking about sugar or pressure, because a lot of times, blood pressure. Take kelp, that will help you. Kelp will help Sylvia runs 90/60. That's how low her blood pressure is. But what we have found to be true medically on our side, it's not the blood pressure that makes you tired as the blood sugar that usually accompanies the low blood sugar that usually, and that also, it sounds like I'm just making a blank prescription, but I'm telling you the truth. Protein seems to fix almost any kind of, because you're made out of protein. Why you're constantly stuffing sugar in your mouth, I don't mean just you, I mean everyone. They're eating bran cakes and fruits and vegetables and pastas and salads, and they don't think they're eating sugar. It's all sugar.
Yes, that's my. I was ranting last week about protein, protein, protein. You gotta get it. And I think it's the for me as for me especially what I focus on it is the the low blood sugar issue. You know, the protein helps keep the your blood sugar level even, whereas the any kind of sugars makes it go whoosh, and then it goes drops. It's not just tiredness that you get. For some people, it affects depression. Depression pops up when your blood sugar drops too low.
That is true, and you might not even realize it. Honestly, I had Chris yell at me actually, like 5-6 years ago. It's like, do you have any idea how hard you are on your blood sugar? I was like, huh? What are you talking about? And I was working a crazy job where it was just like you just ate whatever was available in the office at the time, which was like a bagel or a donut or whatever.
Right.
I didn't even think about it. Like diet was the last thing on my mind, and wasn't diabetic. I wasn't having like sugar crashes that I was aware of. And he's like, "You are so irritable to everyone around you. Do you have any idea how irritating?" I was like, "What? No, I'm sorry." As if I was rude to him. I wasn't rude to him, but yeah. Sometimes you might not even be aware of it, but
The hangries, I think it's called.
yeah. I just thought I was being vehement, but no, I was apparently running on nothing and I was being just
Irritated
about everything.
Right.
And calling it work. Like that's what's needed for work is you just gotta do. Oh man. He told me. He told me about it. So anyway, I just share that just in case, just in case anyone is listening and wondering like, oh, how am I doing with this? For me, it looked like being grumpy at work and having a lot of forward energy that wasn't necessarily even keel. That's what it looked like for me. And when Chris yelled at me. Now I have protein every meal. Every meal. I have chicken for breakfast. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I've even when I'm desperate, I'll get peanut butter out and start scarfing down peanut butter.
Good. Very nice. Very nice. So this is interesting to listen to. I thought that was really lovely to hear her talk more about the gatekeeper. And she said that for most people, it's in the room at the time, their gatekeeper was asleep. And I thought that was interesting. And additionally, you can ask the gatekeeper to help with courage and emotional things and help you like get your thoughts out. I thought that was really, really fascinating concept that I want to meditate more on. It's like calling your gatekeeper if you need to get some motivation. Oh man, very interesting.
There's a little. I just had a silly visualization of. When I talk about getting the horse in front of the cart.
Yes.
The horse is the emotion. That's the mover. Emotion is the mover. So I've been visualizing the horse being out in front of the cart. Let's move. Well, now I'm visualizing, one of those funny gnomes in the commercials. I'm visualizing that as my gatekeeper on the back of the horse.
Hey, very good, very good.
Even though we're the intent was you got to visualize that gnome inside of you. Gnome, not the gnome, the gatekeeper. Get a visual. Francine has expressed the visual. How has suggested the look of that individual to be inside of you in past trances, and I thought of it as a nice carved sculpture of a short, a short being in ornate wood and polished, and that's what I visualize for myself.
Cool. I think I visualize like a little being of light.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's different things that can work for people. But I like that. Like the wood is like actually like very tangible, as if to say like, no, you're going to be very tangible, and real. Interesting. Cool. And some folks are sharing things that they've been doing for their health, and that's great. Erin says, my two favorites take on a daily basis, vitamin D and vitamin B. And we're going to hear more about both of those things today, I think. And definitely the Bs. Jorge says, I've been taking a multivitamin since I was a teenager. I believe it's helped tremendously throughout my life. Fantastic. At the start of this trance, which was last week, she said, I take a multivitamin. That's how she started this whole talk. So good on you. And yeah, okay, great. Yeah, if more people have other thoughts, go for it. That's fantastic. But I just thought that was neat to hear more about the Gatekeeper specifically. So, the other thing that I wanted to highlight is the thing that she was saying that she had concern about was, I believe someone in the audience had asked about an ADHD medicine called Dexedrine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's still prescribed or not, but it's an amphetamine. It's similar to Adderall. And she said that she had concerns about Dexedrine and the Chinese medicine herb that is similar to it, which I believe is ephedra. So those were the two. And ephedra had terrible, terrible headlines after a while.
Mm-hmm.
So in case anyone was curious, so that's what she was saying.
I didn't know there was a herb equivalent to Adderall. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it got really, really bad headlines. If I recall, it's ephedra, EPHEDRA. All right, are we ready for our second?
Yep.
All right.
I'm ready.
Fabulous. So we're going to hear about blackberry tea and fresh cranberries with hot water over it for tea for kidney support. More about depression and sugar crashes. B complex and brewer's yeast to support fibromyalgia. Thoughts on Premarin and Provera, which are for supporting menopause. Thank you. And an observation that she has is people with terrible PMS tend not to have bad menopause. And people without any PMS tend to have menopause. That's more challenging. And then men go through a change of life similar to menopause. And then she's going to talk about scleroderma and oil consumption.
Cool. All right. Here we go.
You don't have to be eating candy to eat sugar. All of your vegetables are sugar. All of your starches are sugar. All of your pastas are complex sugars. All of your fruits are fructose sugar. Now, sit there and think and say to yourself, how much sugar do you think you're eating? Mounds of it. But you say to me, aren't those the right kind of sugars? No, they're not. Sugar is sugar converted in the body. You eat too much of that, and you're going to cause an illness. You don't have to be eating big meat. No, I've never been for that. But if you don't want to eat the chicken or the fish or the turkey, then take the complex aminos or eat soy or something, tofu, that's going to bring your count up. Yes. There's nothing better than blackberry tea, and it's hard to find. And it wouldn't even hurt if you just got blackberries and put it through a sieve and then warmed the water. Do you see what I mean? Because it's no different. And cranberries, if you can get the fresh cranberries even, and make like a tea out of it instead of just the juice, it's the best. It's the most greatest diuretic you could ever have. See, but you could have more trouble with your right kidney than your left. Do you know that? Yes. So do I, because I can see your right kidney. Yes. See, that's also a protein diet too. Mary Tyler Moore has had diabetes all of her life, and look at how well she's done with that. But you see, invariably you'll see people with diabetes, which is high blood sugar, eating candy bars. Protein. Chicken, fish, turkey. And soy and tofu and certain legumes or beans have a lot of protein in it. Yes. Yes, the sugar blues. That's when you're really hypoglycemic, and that's when your diet, and especially in your case, started when you were just a child. And that a lot of times, like when Sylvia was growing up, comes out of a certain sense of poverty. In other words, what was the best thing to eat? Macaroni and things that were starchy, because that filled up people. Cereals did. But you've got to, especially you, more than a lot of people in here, you've got to stick with a strict protein diet. And chicken is very good for you, and so is fish. Otherwise, you get that. You can always tell a hypoglycemic. For instance, you can even see that at 10 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, and 7 o'clock, you begin to drain out. And that's when you get the blues, that low period of being. I've found that most people that are very activated and intellectual are the ones that are more apt to get depressed than stupid people. Stupid people never get depressed. Did you ever notice? No, they don't. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And so anything that has to do with a fish oil. Mm-hmm. Yes. Fibromyalgia, you know, is the soft tissue. It seems to be all related, strangely enough, to Epstein-Barr, to Candida. These are all the immune deficiency illnesses that have come out in the last 10 years. Concentrated use of B-complex seems to do a great deal of help with anything that has to do with fibromyalgia. And the best way, even though it'll bloat the person for a while, but I think bloating is better than having the fibromyalgia, is taking it in yeast, brewer's yeast tablets, maybe 3 or 4 a day. Now that does cause some distension and gas, but that goes away after 5 days. People say, constantly I hear them say to Sylvia, I don't want to do that, it'll give me such and such. The other avenue is, and Sylvia's usually too kind to say this, but I wouldn't, is in suffer, I would say. She doesn't. Yes. I have been at odds with Sylvia over this. She took hormones for a while, and then she got to the point that she just didn't want to anymore. She had a really bad feeling about it. I am not adverse to it because I keep saying to her, you're putting back in the system the same thing as you're doing with insulin. I think that each one, and I don't want to sound like a doctor, because they always give these blanket statements that everybody can pick everything they want to out of it, but I think you have to be very careful of your own body. If you are typically a tumor or cyst person, then I wouldn't take Premarin or Provera. If you are not, I would at least try to take it for 6 months during the hard part of change to boost you up and over, to at least give your pituitary gland a chance to catch its breath, because most women are thrown right into the, well, it's like a dive bomber situation of change of life, and women are not any better off with the Premarin, to tell you the truth, than they were in my day when we used to eat yams and everything else. And it's one of those things that ears mind over matter. I have found that women who have, strangely enough, have terrible PMS during their life will not have a bad change. Had the reverse, will have a bad change. It's funny how it will work like that. Yes. Every gland is affected, and especially the gland that regulates a woman's mental moods, which is pituitary and pineal, or some people say pineal gland. And the hypothalamus is affected. Women hold water, blow up. Men do too, by the way. Let's not let them put their eyes down and think this isn't for them. You men have a horrible time going through the change of life. And what you do is you have a tendency to run out and find a younger woman and get a sports car and go away. And eventually, though, doctors are coming around to giving men testosterone shots, which will help them a great deal. But men suffer, believe me, ladies, as much as women do, and their emotional side of themselves cannot sustain what's going on with them. So if any of you are living with a man that's going through change of life, you can sympathize with what I'm saying, because it's not a pleasant sight. Yes. Yes, it is. I know about scleroderma. Scleroderma is the lack of oil in the system. Anything that can be done, such as taking primrose oil, and all of the above, primrose oil, vitamin E, I'd take at least one primrose oil tablet. I'd take 500E. I would take garlic oil and lecithin. And you say, well, wouldn't the person just be floating away? No. Scleroderma is the tightening of the skin and connective tissue that just makes everything rigid. So what would you do if a car's wheels wouldn't work? What would you do? You'd go out and oil them. See, the body is a very practical machine, and the more we look at it as being practical, yes, hosing it off, taking care of it, unplugging it, oiling it up, feeding it the right gasoline, giving it water, exercise. You don't run a car for a while. What happens to it? The battery dies. So does yours.
So when your battery is running low, we got to juice it up. Add some things, and you're on mute, by the way. But it's an interesting point about the oil, and I recall in past trances, Francine had pointed out about the food industry. It was like, oh, everything's got to be low fat, so we cut out all our oils, and that caused health issues as well for the extremity of things. I'm personally have a problem taking the fish oils and all those fun things, but I do what I can, to get out the oils of other protein products, such as one of my favorites, because I know it's got flavor and health benefits, is when you go one of those rotisserie chickens, and in the bottom of it is all the fun juices. That's the best stuff to be pouring in whatever you're cutting the
Yay.
chicken up to use. Add that stuff in there. Or if you're making soup out of it, make sure that all that fun gooey stuff in the bottom gets in the soup.
Yeah, that is a very good little life tip. I like that a lot. I also like, every time I have a salad, I try to drizzle oil on it. Anytime that I have a vegetable, I try to drizzle oil on it. That's like another way that I get.
Now here's an oxymoron. Olive
Yeah.
oil, balsamic vinegar, and a big piece of bread.
Yum, yum.
Well, it's great, but it's like an oxymoron
Yeah.
of the oil versus the carbohydrates.
Right. Right. It is very tasty. Goodness gracious. It is very tasty. She did mention fibromyalgia. I wanted to share the one time that I did speak to Francine in a trance. I asked her, hey, I'm in pain. What do I have to do to get out of it? And she didn't address the endometriosis, but what she did is she did say, you've got fibromyalgia and you need to eat way more protein and way less sugar and carbohydrates. So she didn't mention that protein and sugar being related to management of fibromyalgia in what we just listened to, but I thought I would pass it on since the topic did come up, and I noticed that it made a massive difference in my. It's like it's a non-existent issue for me now, essentially. So in this trance, yeah, please.
You know what that sounds similar to? I've heard. Jackson Galaxy, the cat whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
Guess no, that's dog whisperer. Galaxy had a show called My Cat from Hell, and has talked about cat health. Cats aren't supposed to drink milk. He doesn't know where. I
Mm,
don't recall if he recalls where that thing came from,
interesting.
but that's a very common visual. Says cats drink milk. No, cats don't drink milk. Cats eat meat. They're hunters, and you feed them the carbs and so on, the dried food and all those kind of things, and that's not health food for them. And many times when you get them on the wet stuff, the meaty stuff, they're
Hmm.
like, oh, I feel better. So interesting sort of correlation of health and proteins and
It is fascinating. It is fascinating. And I know that it can feel like a lot of information flying at oneself, but if you think about how much you eat during a week, like once you kind of get an education of like, okay, and like the bottom of my food pyramid should actually be protein instead of bread. Like, oh, okay. And
yeah.
oh, these anything that's not protein is that it's got a lot of sugar in it, and sugar takes different forms. And like once you get more educated about that, you can start to notice that you feel just so much better. So even if you were able to change just one or two things a week just to get into a different habit and figure out what recipes work for you and what
Yeah.
what new foods you like, oh man, it counts. Every single little change that you make, and it counts. Keep it up. I'm cheering for anyone who is thinking about, oh, what could I do a little bit differently? I'm cheering for you. You
And
absolutely deserve it.
what
Hmm.
could possibly be helpful in this line of thought, at least this is what I think of for me. In our house we prepare stuff ahead of time. We find like we just got a rotisserie chicken. I chopped up a whole bunch of onion, threw that in the bottom of a large fry pan, put spinach on top. We chop up the chicken, put that on top. I throw salsa on top of that. Somebody's, canned
Oh,
salsa,
delicious.
different legumes on there, and whatever other fun stuff we want to throw in there. That becomes like well, 6 days worth of meals for us. Now, do we get bored of it? I personally don't. I want to think. I want to think that some of that has to do with, guess what? I'm feeding myself. I'm getting fed. Now, I happen to like that kind of
Hmm.
food as well, and I'm not getting bored of it. So to me, I'm again, I want to think of that as I'm feeding myself. So hey, I'm not searching out something else to satisfy me, and that's many times when you get low blood sugar. Man, have you ever? You've many of us have probably experienced going to the store when we're hungry. It's like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, let's try that. Oh, what about, and you buy too many cookies, you buy cookies in the first place, or you buy too much of something. Oh, we don't have
Mm,
this. We want to try this. And um,
yeah,
um, it's just food for thought.
indeed it is. Indeed it is. Um, Also, one last thing before we move on. Uh, when she was talking about fibromyalgia, candida, and Epstein-Barr. Epstein-Barr is the virus that's associated with mono. So if someone catches mono, and most of the time, uh, science says that it's one of the most common viruses that people get, and most of the time people just get an immunity to it, but that virus doesn't completely go away throughout one's life, but it just we our body manages it just fine. But because it is there, it sounds like for some people it can be a little bit of a health irritant,
Hmm.
and it can develop into some of like a few other things, Wikipedia does have a lot of information on it if someone is curious, but don't get overwhelmed and think like, oh God, I had mono and now all these horrible things might happen to me. Like, please calm yourself. Calm yourself. Most people have gotten mono in their life. Most people are not going to develop like awful, horrible things. Like, just calm yourself. But if you're listening and you're trying to figure out like, what was it that she was saying? She said that for some reason, it seems like these three things seem related to each other. And Candida, I don't know a whole lot about, but it is a fungus, I believe, which again is super, super, super common. It's normal for us to have, these are normal things that the body encounters.
Right.
So,
and by all means, your medical provider has a website.
Yes.
And they usually have like urgent care or advice nurses that you can call and ask questions about. They're will be very knowledgeable on these specific topics too.
Absolutely. There's also a gentleman out there who I kind of, when I've gone on searching for like Epstein-Barr before, there is a gentleman that pops up as being like medical medium. And I and a couple of friends of mine have been like, what do you think about this? And I can't give this person a seal of recommendation. So if anyone is Googling and they see this person, I'm like, that's a no for me. Right. So just talk to your doctor, please.
Cool.
Like
What's our
all right?
What's our last segment?
Last segment we have is mantras are less effective than visualizations. Asthma is about cutting ties with mother problems. Potassium and restless legs. Wearing crystals works if it makes you feel better about yourself. Rituals can be nice, but are not required. Back problems and carrying people in life. Sinuses and migraines. And lastly, chocolate is particularly deadly to women. Good thing I don't eat it.
Here we go. Take notes.
Yes. That was a very stupid person that said that. You see, Sylvia abhors this more than me. Take care of your liver. What does that mean? How do you take care of it? What's wrong with it? Do you have any kind of hepatitis? Do you have any kind of calcification? No, you don't. None of the above. That's an easy thing to say, though, isn't it? Everybody should take care of their liver. They should take care of their pancreas, their spleen, their heart. There's nothing wrong with your liver. Yes. A mantra I have found over all the years that not only that I've been in Sylvia's body, but dealing with people in and out going from the other side, is I have never found a mantra to be as effective as if you use visualization techniques. We use mantras on our side more than it's able for human beings on your side because your life is so crowded. So what you can do is take yourself to a beautiful gazebo in a meadow. Take yourself to a seashore, sit against a palm tree, have the water lapping on your feet, have your spirit guide or Christ walk down the sand towards you. Those are the things that will really elevate. And we have actually seen physiological changes in a person who meditates versus somebody who doesn't. And you don't have to do it for hours. You could, as fast as I said that one, you can do it. As quickly as I said, lean against the palm tree, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, feel the hot sand, the warm sun on your face, Christ coming out of the shadows. How long does that take? Seconds? And take a deep breath and then come back to yourself. If you could do that 3 or 4 times a day, your blood pressure would stabilize, Your whole hormonal balance would get better. But people think they have to spend time to have everything quiet, everything sealed up. They can't meditate at home. You could be standing by the kitchen sink, turn the water on, and assimilate that with standing by a waterfall for just that moment in time. Use the birds, incorporate the birds. Use the barking dog across the street to be a dog that you can hear barking far away in the jungle. Whatever it might be. You say, I can't. There's too much noise. There's too much music. There's too much kids. There's too much this. Too much traffic. Use it in your meditation. That way you won't be blanked out of everything. Yes. Getting away from any tentacles that were attributed to your mother. Asthma is one of the most parallel things to mother. Any discrepancy with influence of mother, abandonment of mother, trying to perform too much for mother. And once you cut that tie, whether dead or alive, the asthma goes away. Yes. Potassium will do it. Oh, yeah. But see, you have that nervous leg thing, too, where you can't get them situated at night. It's potassium. Who's going to eat 12 bananas a day? No one. No one. Yes. Not at all. No. Crystals are not any better for you than if you used your own ring, your watch, your glasses you have on your face would be just as good. I think they're nice to wear. I think they're pretty, but it seems that the world has become so gimmicky. People have to have their mojo bags and their crystals, and it's big business, and pyramid hats. Not only would you look stupid with all that on, but it doesn't affect anything. If you have what it takes to be who you are, you don't need a lot of those trappings. You don't. If you want to wear a crystal because you like it and it's pretty and it's accoutrement to your clothing, then use it. But other than that, it carries no mystical. Only thing that it would do is if it makes you feel better, then do it, because then you're going to be in a different space. But crystals and all this washing them with salt water, and they have to have a window in them and whatever, and we don't see it. We've never seen it. Rituals can be nice because I think every person does a ritual. Notice the ritual you go through at night before you go to bed or when you get up in the morning. You'll do a certain thing. Rituals are nice because they put people in a habitual, but not when you have to stand out under a copper pot in the full moon. No. And I don't mind that if you're doing some good, at least if you're cooking soup that you could give to somebody, but other than that. But yes, rituals are very nice. If you do something the same time every day that's of a blessing or a house blessing or blessing yourself or other people around you, and you want to use your holy water or your, whatever you want to use, yes, then I'd say yes. But not where you're, see, what you're doing is you're using the ritual. Don't let the ritual use you. Yes. It doesn't matter. You can get rid of it in one fell swoop by saying whatever reason it came from, because the chances are it came from a past life because you were run over by a cart in your back. And then the fact that you've carried so many people on your back in this life. So I'm not too sure you're not carrying a double, as they say, whammy with this. Yes, and you see, you can't negate too much of this either, because some of this is supposed to be transient for a lesson, absolutely. But you can always narrow your time down. In other words, if you were supposed to get a backache to learn to not carry the person on your back, then you can say to God, all right, I've learned it within 2 days rather than 2 years. You're programmed so much, for instance, the doctor will tell you you have a 24-hour flu. Why don't you go home and say it's a 30-minute flu and I'm done with it? Yes. Yes, and I think that women, especially women more so than men, should take really, even though it's somewhat of an expense, but Really treat your feet well as your hands, because these are your outward appendages that serve you. Go and get pedicures. Be nice to your feet. Get those things that foot files. Now, so you have some nerve though in your feet that are bothering you. So it's not just the calluses. You have a nerve involvement in your feet. Please take at least 2,400 milligrams of lecithin a day, and then soak your feet. Be kind to them. Take the calluses off. Go and get a pedicure. You'll be surprised at how much that will. Yes, because it's so irritating, because your feet hurting can make your head hurt. Yes. Valerian root really works. And melatonin, I'm not terribly thrilled about for some people, but you can try it. It upsets some people's stomachs, so be careful. If you find that you get tremendous acidity from melatonin, then don't take it, because it's not meant for everyone. That's what I resent about anything that has to do with herbs or medicinal or medicines. It's not good for everyone. Sinuses and headaches, I would take vitamin C, at least 2,000 milligrams of time release, like you would in your, but I'd also get off chocolate and dairy. Those are the two killers of anything that has to do with cluster or migraines. In fact, women should never eat chocolate, period. It's deadly to women, because it does, here we go with the liver, it does settle in the liver for women. Not so much men, but for some reason settles in women. And it takes 6 months to get one bite of chocolate out of your liver. 6 months. Even alcohol, which I'm not thrilled about either, goes through the liver faster than chocolate does.
Well, carob.
Carob is ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to go now. God bless you, and I will see you next time to answer your personal questions. So, yes.
Thank you, Francine.
God bless you, and I'm glad to see you all.
Oh my gosh, that was the. I remember when that was the chocolate thing was first brought up, and everybody was like, "Oh,
What?
yeah, exactly,
No, I stay away from it.
yeah." And
Don't need it.
occasionally, yes, I admit, yes, I do, because
Mhm.
it's fun, but the best I can, it's like, just don't.
I just end up craving more sugar, and I crave things and crave things and crave things. If I have one bite, then I have a million. I think it's just, no, I don't need that.
So
I
yeah,
don't need that craving.
and
It's
that's
ridiculous.
that's where you ask um the little guy inside of you.
Yes.
You ask
Gatekeeper.
him to adjust your cravings
Hmm.
so that you crave the things that are healthy for you.
That is a good reactive request. And proactively, I can just not eat chocolate also.
Yes. Yes.
I I don't I last thing I want to do is make anyone feel bad for their decisions, but yeah, just take care of yourself one step at a time. You're worth
Cool.
it.
Oh, hey, now we're on to meditation.
Yes, meditation.
And how do I do that? Now it's
Um,
time to find a comfortable place to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap. That should work right there. We encourage, yeah, your palms upward on your lap to receive that wonderful healing energy. And if you need to pay attention to what you're doing, don't pay attention to us, but by all means, come back and listen to these wonderful meditations in the on demand. And for the rest of us, we are going to enjoy this. Here we go. Find a nice place to sit upright with your feet flat on the floor and your hands upward on your lap, palms up. Now, take 3 deep breaths to start relaxing the mind and body.
And now close your eyes when you're ready.
This is called the Rainbow Forest. Breathe deeply and relax. Feel the quiet peace. All of a sudden, you see yourself standing upon the meadow floor, coming upon a beautiful glade of trees standing in the sunlight. As you approach the trees, the green leafy boughs seem to part to let you in. As you go, feel the sunlight filtering through the trees, casting now the green shadows on every part of your body. Feel the quiet peace. You can hear a few birds in the distance. You can smell the greenery and the earth. The aroma of flowers hits you, heady and so very strong. Smelling gardenias, roses, and pine. You walk in farther. The branches keep opening until you get to a circle of huge sentinel figures that stand almost like a cathedral. As you look up to the sky, you see the figure of the Mother Goddess, our beloved Asthma, looking down on you and giving you strength. She descends through an opening in the treetops and hands you a golden sword of courage, love, will, and judgment. As the sun moves, prisms of color begin to descend upon you. First, a deep and beautifully spiritual purple rain falls, lighting all the terrain. Then a golden, almost iridescent rain falls over you, and you feel its touch. Now a pure white dove comes down and hovers above you, as it did over Jesus, and your voice says, "This person I am pleases Jesus." The Holy Spirit envelops you, and the colors crescendo down, suffusing you with the love of Mother and Father God. Energy comes up through the soles of your feet, and you come all the way back up to your conscious mind. All through the coming week, the dove will remain above your head as you remember this magical forest glade. Keep Asna's sword in your hand to cut away all ties of negativity.
And now, on the count of 3, bring yourself all the way up. 1, 2, 3. Find a nice place to sit up.
Sit upright.
Yes, exactly. Lovely. Beautiful forest meditation.
My mind is still like noisy going through that. It's like I know in the past I've been able to do like really nice visualizations and walking into a forest, visualizing a forest, and mine's like cartoony kind of not what's the word? Not behaving properly, not behaving nicely. It's kind of wishy-washy-ish kind of thing. I'm like, okay, I gotta calm down or something. But yeah, I got to see the visuals, and for me, that's what I think of is when they're not, when the visuals aren't following along, as it were. It's like, okay, I gotta work on bringing my I don't know, emotions, anxiety, and all that fun stuff down to a lower level. We did that. Meditation. Okay. If you have any questions about what we shared, feel free to post in chat or email us questions to newspirit@novus.org. Yes, we appreciate the listeners, both live and on demand. Show your appreciation for New Spirit Radio by sharing, promoting, liking, subscribing. Hey, has anybody hit? We got 9 thumbs up, depending
Woohoo!
on how forward this count is on here. I just added another one. Check out our websites. Where are we? Yeah, we have sylviabrowne.com, chrisrightnow.com, and Novus at org. Novus at org? No, novus.org.com. Facebook, you'll find Society of Nova Spiritus, Sylvia Browne Group, and New Spirit Radio. YouTube, yes, Society of Nova Spiritus, and Psychic Awareness for Chris things. We are on Discord and learning more about that over time. And soon, I hope that we can figure out how to do Patreon. Thank you. That's the one I was thinking of. There's more people getting into Patreon. Even Chris is looking into working with Patreon. So we have some more homework. What else do we want to talk about and share? Monthly Sunday services. Yes, I am going to be posting a Sunday service this coming Sunday. No, where am I? Is that the first? Yes, it is this coming Sunday. Thank you. And Las Vegas has a live Sunday service, and they'll be live streaming that Sunday service. But you got to be invited to the group to watch it. And the last Sunday of the month is a special Sunday Zoom service that you're welcome to participate in. So get on our email list at novus.org, and you should get an invitation. Now's the time for the novena. This is the special prayer ceremony. And what we are going to do, if you're new to this, we're going to say a phrase together. And it doesn't matter when you're watching this. We're going to say this phrase together. Visualize that we're holding our hands together, making this big, huge ring in a huge room. This is from Francine, has shared this, and it's about, and we've heard several times, Francine and Raheem have told us about how we are a spark of God and that we don't realize how much we've been taught that we're not God. We don't have any aspect in relation to that. And this is a reminder to help us remember that yes, we do. The phrase we're going to say together is I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. So we'll say that together. I'll lead us off. We'll say it together 3 times, and then I'll tell you what we want to ask for. And following that, we're going to do that a total of 3 times. So how does that fall? Well, it ties into our tenet number 10. It says, let no one convince you that you are less than a God. Do not let fear imprison your spiritual growth. So now I'd like you to visualize that we're all holding hands together in a huge room, and we'll do the novena. Here we go. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, ask for things for yourself. Okay, here we go. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now ask for things for others. Okay, and the last one. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, picture our light going out like a beacon of light for others seeking this spiritual knowledge. Now I encourage, think of something from last week that you appreciate and keep that memory and think about it every day for the next week. It'll help keep you elevated, motivated, and spiritually, what do I say? Spiritually uplifted. Thank you. Show your appreciation to Francine and Raheem for researching all of this wonderful knowledge. Sylvia for coming to this insane asylum of the universe to start this movement and for showing us some peace of mind and grace while we're here. Asthma for helping us and protecting us. And Father God for providing the most prestigious school for us to experience, learn, and satisfy our unique spark of curiosity. Appreciate Bob Ingold for some of the graphics and helping with some of the audio. And of course, we appreciate Sammy, Sweet Spirit, and Javon for the wonderful theme music, our intro outro music. Writing, setup, and hosting is Reverend Catherine Taylor. Editing, technical direction, and hosting is Reverend Tom Bigley. And now, a prayer by Sylvia. Somewhere. We got, all right, here we go.
Prayer for protection. Dear Asna and Father God, we ask that your wings of protection come around us like a cocoon of peace. We ask that this gigantic light that emits from your love descends upon us and protects us from all darkness, enemies, adversities, and sickness. We ask that the Christ consciousness walk before us as a protective shield. I recommend that you repeat this 3 times for protection.
And Kat's going to tell us.
We love you very much. Happy Lunar New Year.
Oh, yeah.
And we will see you in 2 weeks. Good night.
For so long we have ignored you, as if you were not there. All praise went to the Father. We were so unaware that through the years you've shed your tears for all the pain we bear. Oh, Asna, how we love you. Place no one above. 'cause you hold this world in your hands. You are the truth, you are the hope and love we never knew. Oh, Asthma, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God.